Welcome to the Elite Life with Trisha and Kylie. This is where we'll teach you how to develop grit, give yourself grace, and succeed in real estate. So let's dive in.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of The Elite Life. I'm Trish, and with me, as always, is Miss Kylie B. And
cheers. I had to cheers.
Cheers.
You never let me, you're like,
right.
Here, let me introduce you, and then I'm going to just keep talking.
All right. I was really excited to introduce our
I'm
guest.
so amped for today's episode.
I could tell because you won't even let me talk. Do you want to introduce us, Kylie?
No. I'll let you.
Okay. All right. So with us today is an absolutely amazing guest. She is a certified franchising executive, not French fry, which was what was going to come out.
I mean, that sounds good too. I'm just saying.
She's the development director of Wolfgang Bakery and Grooming. She's a certified 200-hour yoga teacher, a daily practicing yogi, level 2 Usui, a dog mom, and my best friend and soul sister, Nicole Hughs. Where's our applause? Woo!
Yay! Producer Dave will put it in.
Say hello, Nicole.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, we're pumped.
Yeah, I am also exhausted from that list you just read. Like, no pressure. Huge shoes there. Big shoes you got there, Nicole. You do all the things.
She does all the things.
You know what? Those are all just labels, and what that represents is that I am just a student for life. I like to learn things. I like to try new things and figure things out. So that's what that is. But I'm just me.
I'm super excited because I finally get to put a face with all the text messaging that we were doing there for a while. Like, we were all in the trough of sorrows, and Trisha just pulled us in and was like, all right, bees, here we go. All the venting, all the sorrow, we're putting it in the text messages and moving on.
It's time for 75 hard.
Yeah, let's get hard.
Get hard.
I know. The
that's
power
bad.
of technology. It's like I feel like I've been friends with you for so long, but we've never actually met, but we've been doing life together. So it's just, I love it. It's so great.
I know. And I love it so much because it's like, even though you live far away, like I talk to you more than probably any human that lives in the same state as me, which is really funny. So just to give our listeners a little background, I met Nicole. It seems like a whole other lifetime because it kind of was another lifetime. But she lived here in Michigan, and we worked together at a residential real estate office in Livonia. And we became best friends busting a move on the dance floor on her birthday. That was like a monumental evening. I brought her a bag of Shakeology and a Stephen Furtick personal development book.
Of course you did.
And it was all history from there. She's like, you are my people. And I'm like, you are my people.
I love those
like
moments.
Dancing, personal development, and shakes. Like, who doesn't become best friends over that?
Did you guys go do karate in the garage after that?
We did fitness and Bible studies and churching. And like I said, now we talk like every single day, even though we're separated by the entire US of A. And it's awesome.
And
I think we could probably upset some of the listeners by saying that we send audios that are well beyond 5 minutes.
Yes. And I call them audibles.
the audio messages.
Yes.
I'm just getting hip to those because Sarah Emery, who we had on the show, she started sending them to me. And then I'm like, oh, this is how she likes to communicate. And I'm like, this is really efficient.
Yeah.
I like this a lot.
It is. Unless it like shuts off on you, which happens. And then Nicole will send me something. I'm like, well, there's 5 minutes that apparently you didn't need to listen to. And then I'll do the exact same thing. And yeah.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. So I want to get to know you a little better. I want our listeners to get to know you a little better. So as we like to say, start at the beginning and end at the end, and tell us your story. Who is Nicole? Where'd she come from? You know, why did you leave Trisha and move to Arizona?
It's an important questions that they want to know.
Okay, you could tell Trisha wrote this episode, all right? She's concerned.
Oh my gosh, yeah. How could you leave Trish? Okay, so gosh, who is Nicole, right? This is always my favorite question when people ask that. And honestly, like, I think the question is like, who is Nicole today, right? Because I'm constantly evolving. That's constantly changing. But what's not changing is that, honestly, I'm a human on this floating rock, just like you, just trying to find my way to be like my highest and best self. So just always trying to stay in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be showing up and serving. So, what's my story? Gosh, there's so much to tell, but I think for today, I'll kind of just focus on the fact that, so I grew up in Michigan, Southeast Michigan, near where I met Trish. And, it's kind of a funny thing because I was one of those people that like, I was happy, right? Like I had a wonderful family, had a great life, like lived in a good community. There was nothing like absolutely terrible, but like I always had this feeling inside of I needed to figure out what my purpose was, and like there was more.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is that me as a person, like I think I kind of battled this fear of actually actualizing that, right? And so I think I kind of lived a life of taking the easy route and kind of not stepping into my power. And so I chose a lot of paths and things that weren't necessarily in alignment. So now granted, I will say I think all of these things were very important. And they play a very important role in where I'm at now. So that said, why did I leave, Trisha?
I mean, I know I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for about 2.5, 3 years. So I know why you left, because it's warm, because it's sunny, because, there's no snow. There are several reasons.
Are you saying that the sunshine is more important than me?
I mean, you do make your own sunshine in a way.
You are our sunshine.
You are my sunshine for sure. However, you cannot make a 98-degree day feel like an 82-degree day, and Arizona can. So I'm just saying. It's
true. Even my lake house doesn't make me feel better in the snow because I can't get in the lake.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. So I definitely, one of the deciding factors of moving from Michigan, over to Arizona definitely had to do with the climate, had to do with, a desire to be outside and be active. But, my experience and my reasonings, I know that are not unique to me. And I know that there are a lot of people that have had some really challenging times in their life, have had some experiences that have really forced them to kind of take a look at where they're at, what they're doing, and decide to make a move. My particular story is, it's one that I preface with, I tell people all the time, like, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was painful. It was scary. But it made me who I am, and it brought me here, right? Like sometimes I personally think that the universe will give you opportunities to make adjustments, to get into alignment, to make changes. And then if you don't, it'll go ahead and help course correct for you. So kind of the major thing that made me move to Arizona is actually, so I went through, I was married in my 20s. I ended up getting divorced when I was 30. After that, which was, it's for anybody that has actually been through that, and, bless your hearts. It can be, regardless of what happened, what the breakdown was, who, initiated, if it was mutual, it is an incredibly emotional experience, right? For me, what I have now discovered happened is I actually started to disassociate from myself to get through that because it was so difficult and challenging and emotional. And I'm an empath. I have, from the day that I was born, I feel everything. I feel your energy. I feel my energy. It's a bit overwhelming. And so I started to disassociate and kind of disconnect from myself through that process. And what happens when we're doing that is we are not actually working through the emotions, the grief, how you should, in a healthy way, be dealing with things. I was not. So basically what that did was, on top of some other unfortunate circumstances, or fortunate, however you want to look at it, challenging circumstances that I had in my life that I also didn't properly deal with, my body, my energetic body, my nervous system was basically primed. And all it needed was something to just send it over the edge. And I was given that. So at the end of the year in 2016, when I got divorced, I decided to sell my home and I wanted to move closer to my job in Livonia. So I move into an apartment. I'm very excited. You know, I don't have a house to take care of anymore, the big yard, all the responsibilities. I have a dog. Her name is Bailey. I wanted to be able to spend more time with her and whatnot. So we move, get this great apartment, or so we think. And after a couple months, and Trish, you'll probably remember this because you really watched the decline. We were very close at this time. I started having some very interesting health symptoms. What started off as kind of like sinus, allergy, I was like, oh, this is weird. I started like, I hadn't taken medication before, but I started taking allergy pills. And I'm like, what is going on? Then I started developing headaches. And then the sinus issues, it was like every single day I was waking up and I'm like, this is odd. This is really strange. And then I started getting sick. Like I caught every cold, every flu. So I had started going to the doctor, right? And pretty much at this time, it's like every month I'm popping in there, like with a new symptom, with unresolved symptoms. And a couple months into 2017, I started having this actual, like where my face was swelling up. My eyes were swelling up. I kind of looked like, if you've seen, you know, Rocky Balboa, like what after a fight when he's got like the big puffy face.
Yeah.
I would wake up like that in the morning and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I ended up getting really sick. They're doing all this testing. They're testing for pneumonia. They can't find anything conclusive, but like they're like, you're not well.
Right.
This starts progressing to the point where literally, actually, I am almost bedridden. Like I am feeling like fibromyalgia symptoms. I am so fatigued. I have brain fog to the point that just like simple thoughts that we take for granted every day, my brain could not compute. So I'm so grateful though. I had this wonderful MD, and after like month 10, I know that's a while, but like in the grand scheme of things, not. At month 10, I went in and she was like, hold on. Something is going on here because you're still sick. You have new symptoms. You know, we have to get to the bottom. There's something bigger here. And so she pulls out my records, and this day I'll never forget, because you have to understand that at this point, after 10 months of going through this, and it's just getting worse and worse, my quality of life is like, I'm struggling. I'm trying to work from home, like still keep my job. I'm single now, right? This is on the heels of a divorce.
Right.
Trying to take care of my dog. And I'm basically army crawling out of bed, right? So, and she goes through my notes and everything. And then she looks at me and she's like, tell me about the environment that you're living in. And I'm like, I live in an apartment now. And she's like, no, like, have you noticed like any mildew, musty smells, things like that? And I'm like, well, yeah, actually, like recently I kind of did. But my nose is usually like stuffed up and stuff. She's like, I want you to ask anyone that's come over also, like, you know, whatever. So she's like, go home. And I also want you to go around your apartment and I want you to look. I'm concerned there might be mold. Sure. Now I know nothing about this. I've never heard of like, I don't know how bad mold could be. Never experienced any of this. I go back, I do a search. I go into the spare bedroom of my apartment and there's a closet where the hot water tank is. I open up that door. I don't ever go in there. Black mold.
Everywhere?
Everywhere.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so this basically unravels into like my apartment is full of mold. Kind of funny because the gentleman that lived above me, everything was great at the apartment except for this man coughed like crazy all the time.
Now we know why.
I may have saved his life too. Right. So
yeah,
it's a really long experience, but basically it was like my decline of health. Then I end up like going down this rabbit hole of understanding the exposure of mold. Well, so what I come to find out is I actually have this gene, which it got activated by the stress of the divorce and the other things. And then with the exposure to the mold, like basically it's this gene that my body does not recognize toxins as toxins. So while the two of you may have been in that apartment and you might have been like slightly bothered by it, it literally, when it came into my body, just continued to circulate because my liver couldn't flush it out because it doesn't recognize that it needs to go. So
that's crazy.
When she was going through it, like we'd meet at church and her face would be super puffy. Because when you were going through your list, I'm like, don't forget the puffy face, because that's what was so prevalent. Like, because you could see it when you would see her. And when she goes, yeah, it's my and I'm like, this is like an episode of Dr. House.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, just another super important reason to point out, like, why when you're going to a showing, you need to like get a flashlight, open up. I mean, when my clients look at stuff, I'm opening things. Like, I don't go in the attic, but I'm like, what's in this closet? What's behind here? Like, and just looking for all of that. Because could you imagine, like, I mean, not like that you would know, but like, how bad would you feel if like she had bought that house from you, come to find out it's like full of mold and stuff? But that's the difference between a rental and a home purchase. You're having the home inspection.
A home inspection. Yep. That's what it comes down to.
That is, I'm so thankful to God that you and I'm sure you felt like super relieved to be like, all right, at least we know what's going on. I can start, figuring out how to start healing.
Yeah.
Right?
10 months is a long time.
I mean,
it's a long time. And I want to add to your point about, because in real estate, this is incredibly important. And like, I'm out of residential now. I work in commercial, and I'm basically like a walking detector for it. You will not always see it. The home inspections are great. I also recommend getting a secondary inspection for mold. Just to check for it, because it's a big deal. And again, like I said, like you won't always see it. I walked into looking at a space for the last company that I was working at and walked through the door, and within 5 seconds I was like, there's a moisture issue here. And they went and they actually ended up finding it. And I was like, my body can actually detect it now. So if
that's
I
like
ever
a
need
superpower.
That could be my career.
It is a superpower. And since you kind of like shifted gears into that, so, when you worked with me, we were in residential. I remember when you left, you went to event planning. So tell us. Yeah. She was like, it's my dream job. I'm going to like plan events and weddings and stuff like that. And I was like, that is so cool.
That's
and
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're in franchising. So talk about that. Like, what is
that?
franchising, development? Tell us a little bit about your space there.
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually really funny. Funny in the sense that like the way that the world works and how, a lot of times, like if you pay attention and you're mindful, you'll see how things get brought back to you. Like the universe brings things back to you. So when I was younger, my aunt and uncle actually were franchisees. So they worked for a quick service. So it's funny when you started to say French fry, I'm like, actually, you're not far off because they had Checkers restaurants. And so when I was, oh my gosh, I think I was 12, I was helping them at their stores. And so Checkers is kind of like Rally's for anyone that's not familiar with that concept. And they have 2 drive-thrus. And what they call one the high side, one the low side. And so like by the time I'm 13, I'm working the high side, which is the busy side that most people go to. I'm there just like, thank you for choosing Checkers. Would you like to try it? It was so much fun. And I loved watching, it was like, that was something that, in his 30s, my uncle had decided to do. And so he and my aunt like built this business, but I didn't know what franchising was, but I watched how, they were explaining like, oh, we get this business and they tell us, the branding and this and that, but then we're responsible for running it. And so that was like my, my coming up in the industry. I did that every summer. I was always so excited to go and like help them out and, be a part of that, like serving the customers and everything. Then actually, when I was in college, I went there in the summers and I was basically helping them with their marketing and working in the back office and kind of learning some of the things that they do there. So franchising is basically essentially, it's like this contractual agreement. Like you have the licensor and the licensee. And so a company will say, here, you can buy in and pay for our branding, our methods, the support, the goods and services. So it's like under that name. And then you then as the franchisee get to, it's like this entrepreneurship where you get to like buy in, but you get to buy into this whole network of resources. So you don't necessarily have to figure everything out yourself. which I love. We've talked about this, Trish. We've talked about this before. Like, none of us should have to do it all, right? That's what makes the world go round. So
it's like a business starter pack.
Plug and play.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So I just fell in love with this concept. For me, I just think it's so amazing that you can walk in and you get all of this support and you still get to make your dream come true and like own your business, serve your communities. But you get help and like really great help. So I had that background with Checkers, and then I tried a few other things, did the real estate, got into the residential, and then I ended up working for a, pet retail franchise. And that actually was where I started back in 2016. And it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I had an amazing boss and mentor who encouraged me to get involved with the International Franchise Association. So I had actually got my CFE, my certification. And I was so excited. I got it done in like 11 months. I went to like every course, every meetup, everything that you had to do, because I just was like, this is amazing. And it also, the roles that I got into in franchising is I've just come to discover that I am the kind of personality that like, I am very much project manager mindset. Because I love to help people, right? Like I love to serve. I love to help people like make their dream come true. But I also love a process. Like I love taking something from point A to point B and figuring out all the pieces in between, right? Like the timing, like that was event planning. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Okay, we're going to do this. Here's all the things that have to happen to make this a reality.
Yeah.
That's what like I get excited about. And I love it too, because I can apply it in so many different ways in my life. So I'm thankful that that's my skill. That's my gift that I was given. And then I have some refinement in a lot of other areas. So,
but you can see that you love it. Like your
face is glowing.
Yeah, you like lit up. Like your body language is everything. Like it's like when I talk about real estate, I'm like, like,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
Doing the same thing. You're like, this pumps me.
You guys are definitely soul sisters for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, for me, it's also, I personally, when I'm choosing which organization I want to work with, like I am very much a passion person. So as we're talking about like our passions in life, and for me, that can kind of change. So, I worked in the pet space and then I went into the wellness sector of franchising. I'm now back in the pet space, which I love. Anybody that knows me, like, I just absolutely love animals, especially dogs. So, the brand that I'm with now is just right up my alley. Yeah. I'm the girl that, at any event, if there's a dog, I will say hello to them first before I greet the humans. So, and I will not apologize for that.
Yeah, dog moms unite.
Yeah.
All right, friends. So this is a perfect spot for us to take a very quick break, but do not touch that dial because we will be back with so much more greatness and resources and tips and inspiration and fun. See you soon.
Do you know more than 80% of real estate agents fail and quit in their first year of business? MyStarsAcademy.com has set out to solve this problem by providing a convenient, expert-based training and coaching program for both agents and brokers. The Agent Accelerator program teaches agents everything they need to know to level up their business, have a constant flow of free leads, convert those leads into clients, and take those clients to the closing table and keep them coming back for more as repeat business. Our industry experts have years of proven success in the business and are here to share that gold through one-on-one coaching. This will help you achieve more structure and work-life balance. We will map you a plan you can follow, which will guide you through the steps to scale and grow in both your business and personal life. Don't be a statistic. Visit MyStarsAcademy.com and enroll today so you can get the success you deserve.
Welcome back, friends. We are so excited to have you and our friend Nicole here. She's sharing with us all kinds of greatness. We were just chatting about her career path and franchising and development. And since you are my BFF and soul sis, I also know that you do some rocking in the construction space, which I love. You are a total bad we can't say a bad word or else we'll get the other rating, but we'll leave it at that. Tell us, has it been challenging working in construction being a female?
You know what? I will say I've had, construction itself is a beast and it's challenging. And I've certainly had some challenging moments being a female in construction. It is definitely kind of infiltrated with males. But I've been incredibly fortunate, I feel like, to have some incredible mentors along the way. And honestly, I'm not sure what to attribute that to, if it's just, my approach. I've really come into it and just kind of like, I've embraced it and I'm like, how can I help? Like, what can I do? I want to learn. I'm always trying like process improvement. And then I just treat humans as humans, right? Like I meet people where they're at. And so I've been really, really lucky to have a lot of male mentors in the space that have really taken me under their wing and just, taught me so much and helped me to grow and encouraged me to, grow in the industry. And I actually just recently, I'm glad that you asked about this. I just recently aligned with an initiative. It's an Arizona-based initiative called Girls Can Build. I found out about this through, one of my acquaintances, someone that I met through vendor relationships. And it's actually, so the construction company that started this is a female-led company. The principal is a female. And so ultimately what this initiative is just to help, support projects and inspire girls and women to get into the industry. Especially with like the labor shortages that we have now, I think we've got this tremendous opportunity to bring visibility to, not only just like engineering and design and construction, but real estate as well. Like we got to let them know that there are opportunities for them in these fields and educate them on it. So that's been a really fun thing to get involved in. And I'm really excited about that. And, I personally came from a family where, the females in my family my aunt had the tool set, right? Like I learned a lot from her where she was like, this is how you hang pictures. She would build things all of the time. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, where that's not necessarily, the experience that we have traditionally. Typically there's other skill sets that we are kind of directed to focus on. So
I love that. When you told me about that, I was so excited because just like you, like I was one of those girls where like I had dump trucks and Tonka trunks in my sandbox, and I drove tractors around a farm, and I learned to blacksmith and build with my grandpa. So when you were like, I'm doing this with young girls, I'm like, yes, like let's keep like pulling them up and telling them like, it's not just one of those cliche things. You can be anything you want to be. Like you really can. And like when I was rereading, I read it a couple times, your article in Blueprint magazine, like I loved seeing the photos of you. Like you got the blueprints out, you got your hard hat on, like you're in there, you're like boots on the ground, like here I am. And I love it too because as females, like we bring a new outlook, we bring a lot to the table, right? So we can think differently about the architecture, we think differently about how things fit in different spaces,
how things function. We use things differently.
Absolutely. And they talked about that in the article too, how you came in and you looked and it ended up being like a little $3 hook that made all the difference. And I'll kind of like let you tell a little bit about that story because I thought it was so cute. If you want to talk a little bit about the article and some of those pieces and treating people as people and not just part of the transaction. Like I think females bring a lot of empathy and pieces that are very important that might be missing.
Well, not me and you, we're stuffers, but our friend Nicole is an empath, so she brings all that for us.
Yes, I help balance that out. First of all, I appreciate you reading that article, and that was that article was kind of a big deal for me too, because they approached me about it, and I was like, oh no, like there's no story here. And actually it was a gentleman, and he was like, I appreciate you being humble, But I respectfully disagree. Like this is really important. Like you are a woman in construction and that's what we're focused on. And like, we want to talk to you about it. And so, I kind of stepped out of my fear of sharing my voice. And we all like, that's what I love this. Like, honestly, when you invited me to be on here today, I'm like, this is so great. And I have to say yes, because this is what we need, is to be having these conversations. And for each of us to be sharing our unique experiences. Like, this is why, you know, we have podcasts and we have different yoga teachers and we have, you know, because all of our different experiences, our voices are going to land for someone. Someone is going to connect with this message. There's going to be a seed planted. There's, you know, so you're going to hear something that maybe you heard before, but the way that this person communicates it lands with you. Yeah. So anyways, so in this article, thank you so much for reading it. I really talked about, you know, when I went into these spaces, you know, it was really important for me to actually go to our locations and to talk with our team members that are actually working in these spaces, right? Because it's one thing to conceptualize and design something, you know, from 11,000 feet. But when you're the person that is actually needing and requiring the functionality within there, like it's a different thing. And so I went and I visited and I'm having conversations with them because this is their workspace that they're spending 8 to 10 hours a day in.
Right.
And, you know, it was so funny because, you know, we have these $100,000 to $200,000 projects that we're working on, and we're doing, you know, updated cabinetry and countertops and like all of these beautiful things. But what it ended up coming down to that mattered most was a bolster hook for them to hang. So a bolster goes under the knees for massages or facials. And it was like the placement of the bolster hook, $3 bolster hook, right? And I just remember I told the story about it in the article because I was there at construction turnover and we're getting everything set up, and I am laughing because all of these therapists are like coming to me and I'm like, what's your favorite part? And they're like, the bolster hook. And just
$3, friends. She made their day with a $3 tool
for them to hang the thing on.
It's the little things that make such a big difference, right?
It is.
Think about how much even just like time it saves in their day of like, where do I put this? Where do I put this? Where do I put this? Now you have a spot.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I love that
I'm
so
all
much.
about it. I'm all about functionality and finding what feels good and you know what you need in your day to do your best work, right? Like we're all just trying to figure out at the end of the day, we're like, what do I need to do my best work? What do I need to show up and be the best version of myself? And it might be a hook. Like, I don't know.
I love that.
I love it too. I love it so much.
I like write that down. Keep that for a soundbite.
Well, I'm just thinking of little things. So like with my laptop, the way my office is set up in the corner of our bedroom, to plug and unplug it, I gotta drop it behind. You gotta get down there. And I told Ryan the other day, I was like, I'm just gonna buy another charger for my laptop because I want one in my bag. I want to be able to unplug my laptop and just go.
Yeah.
And like it's little, you are totally right. It is sometimes some of the smallest things that make the biggest difference. And I love that you, Nicole, have the care and the compassion and the perspective enough to be like, I'm not living here. Let's talk to the people who are going to be living here. What would make this the best space for you? I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is hard enough, right? Like we have so many challenges. So any opportunity to kind of alleviate those moments of friction, like it really, because it compounds. So you're absolutely right. Like buying the charger, like those little things, because each day that piles up, that adds up. So just eliminate it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love in the article you spoke about yoga and like how that serves your work life and, you know, helps you to stay balanced. So I mentioned that in the beginning too, and I just kind of wanted to touch on that because I know it's a big part of your life, and a lot of our listeners are probably like, they either do it or they don't know anything about it. So can you just kind of touch a little bit on like how you got into it, how you apply the principles,
What you love about it.
why people should do it.
Everything. Yeah. Okay. If I don't already seem excited about what I'm talking about, then buckle up because yoga.
Buckle up. She's coming in hot.
Buckle up, baby. Yoga. The gift that keeps giving. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold statement. yoga saved my life.
All right.
And continues to save my life. So I'm going to also go ahead and tell you, I'm going to be completely honest. So when I lived back in Michigan, and for anybody that, 10 years ago lived in the Midwest, there's a pretty good chance you never saw a yoga studio in your town. Midwest, East Coast, I feel like a little slow to pick up the concepts and everything. But my perspective, and I laugh about this, and it's absolutely terrible, but like when I first heard about yoga, I pictured, and no offense to any, I have many friends in California, but I first pictured like California, and it was like very woo-woo, but I didn't understand it, right? Like, let's just be clear. I had no understanding of what yoga was. And so I was like, I have no interest in yoga. I'm going to go do kickboxing and Krav Maga and be a baddie, right? Had it all wrong. So I was actually introduced to yoga in 2011. And I finally succumbed to the pressure of going because I had actually started having panic attacks. And so I won't go into a diatribe about this. You've already heard a lot of my stories, but again, panic attacks are, not moving the energy in our bodies, unresolved things and whatnot. And so I was really struggling with that, and someone suggested yoga. And so I went, and the very first class that I went to, it was incredible. I was like, holy wow, this is not what I thought it was at all. Not only so by the way, I went to a yoga class that was all about asanas, and asanas are the movements. So like it was vinyasa flow. So you're doing, a series of movements, moving your body up, down, all around. And then you reach this moment of savasana, which is corpse pose, where you relax at the end. Like that is like the goal to get to, and you let your ego go and you just lay there. And I fell asleep.
Aww.
I fell asleep. Like, I don't do that. I don't sleep in public places. It had done something to me on a cellular level that when I got done and I laid there, like I felt so calm and safe, and I just was like, whoo. So that was my first experience with it. Since then, I have certainly learned there are so many different, modalities and methods. I currently now practice Kundalini, Vinyasa. I studied Himalayan Kriya. Kriya is basically like repetitive movements of like hand gestures, movements, breath. And ultimately it's all just for us to like achieve our highest self. So yoga though, it's interesting because I remember, one of the classes that I went to, I really got back heavy into yoga after my illness, the mold exposure. And I remember one of the teachers saying, basically like we came to the mat and she's like, forget about everything outside of this room. Like the hard work is done, by the way, you're here, you're on your mat. And she's like, and I want you to just know that what we practice here on the mat is what you're then going to take out into the world. This is like that. At first I was listening, I was like, wait, what? And like, now I understand it, because yoga is a practice. Yoga is a discipline. You are going to find yourself in postures that feel uncomfortable, that make you angry. And you just, it is like this, it's such a life lesson. Like it's just the most beautiful thing. I can't even I get tongue tied because I just love it so much. And I'm like, just go do it. Like, please just go do it. Find the one that works for you. But, you are faced with the choice to react to the feelings that you're feeling, because you're going to feel some things, or respond. And it's also this lesson in I love a vinyasa flow, because I have really come to this belief in my life of we have to be in the flow. And I think that there's this misconception that go with the flow means not doing anything. And that's a misconception. Being in the flow and going with the flow still requires you to take action. If you're in a yoga class and you're doing a flow, it's movement after movement. It's, downward facing dog, it's upward facing dog. It's putting your arms out, it's bringing them down, it's holding them, it's breathing. It's not forgetting to breathe. Inhale, exhale, you're still moving forward. And you're allowing things to come up, but you're choosing to move past it, right? You're choosing your response. You're choosing to stay in the discomfort, knowing that it's temporary. and you're going to get through it. And it's like, and at the end of every class, like I know, and Trish, you've talked to me before a yoga class and you've talked to me after a yoga class. And it's like, after is the Nicole that I always want to be, right? Like just, it's, you clear things, you feel rejuvenated, and you're just really kind of, again, it's like, it's that discipline, right? And it's the choices that you make within there. So that definitely, I know that's like a lot. You guys are probably like, holy smokes, but I take all of those principles and I apply them in my daily life. Like I have to have that same vigor, that same discipline, that same choosing to respond and not react, and staying in all the uncomfortable, things that come up. Like it's, there's a lot of discomfort, especially in the industry that I'm in real estate, for sure. It gets stressful. It feels like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this, but you can. We all can do it.
I love that. I was like sitting here like, can I fly over there and do yoga right now?
I'm
with
just
you?
like, I'm like, yes. Oh I mean, I wrote like notes and
Kylie's
stuff.
got like pages of notes, which I've never seen her do before. So I just want to let you know you're like moving her to like actually like writing and circling notes. So that is amazing. And you have unpacked so much greatness. Because I know you, and I know like you are just so amazingly organized in your life and your business, would you share some of the tools that you use to be able to do all the things in life and business and stay organized and stay the amazing human you are? Because most of us are disorganized messes. So all the tools and resources we can get are helpful.
Yeah. And I feel like you, like with the barrage, the list that Trish read off at the beginning, just introducing you, like you have a lot of buckets to fill. And I feel that same way. And I'm always open for any tips that we could possibly do to keep our poop in a group.
Absolutely. So here's the first thing that I want to say is, I'm going to share what works for me right now. But we are, as humans, are constantly evolving. So I just want to remind everybody that like, you just find what works for you and understand, like, don't have an attachment to those things, because we're evolving and we're changing all of the time. And so like what I do right now may not work for me in 6 months. Right. Some things I've been doing my whole life. So it's a constant evolution, and you have to figure out what works for you. I'm kind of funny right now in the sense that like we live in the digital age, right? And a lot of what I do for work is remote. It's on the computer. I do keep all of my like major meetings and places I need to be on my calendar on my phone. But I'm still very old school. I have found there is so much power for me in putting pen to paper. And yeah, there just is something there for me. I encourage you, if you're not currently doing it, try it. Like with everything, like please just try things. Try them out. Even if you're feeling like resistance, actually lean into those more. I'd love for you to lean into the things that feel uncomfortable. And so I kind of do a hybrid. And so I buy every year, I get this planner, and I've done a couple different ones, but I absolutely love the one that I have now. And so number one, if you know anything about me, I sit down every year. My birthday is November 26th. And so that is when I start my time of reflection on each year. And so I reflect on what I've accomplished. And then I start to think about the next year. And let me just preface this with like, I don't have any issues with resolutions. I call them intentions, goals and intentions, but I have to have things that I am working towards. That are going to help me be my best self, right? And I know that kind of that can be cliche too, but I do believe in our highest and best. Kind of like in real estate, highest and best. I love it. Yes. So I use this planner, and it is really, I'm a checklist girl. I don't know about the two of you, but like there's something so satisfying about saying, Amen. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z today, and then check that box off.
Ooh, It's magical. It's so delicious.
But let me ask you, if you do something extra, do you add it on there and then check it out?
Hell yeah, I do. Because I did that thing. I might not have done the other thing that was on the list, but I did that thing. I did do that thing.
Yeah. So I use this planner, and not only do I do like the major, and Trish, you do something similar to this that, and I don't know, I want you to talk about it. But I basically do this like download of, okay, like what would be awesome to do this year? Like, what do I think is going to get me where I want to get? And I'm just messy about it. All the things, it's all over the place. I'm doodling, I'm drawing, I'm arrows this way and that way. And then I take that and I start to like actually organize it into smaller pieces of like bite-sized pieces of how I can accomplish this. In January, I want to do this. And then, maybe in January, I'm doing one piece of a bigger piece of the puzzle, right? Like if my goal is to relearn Spanish, because I've been saying that for years, I took 2 years of Spanish, and then, you don't use it and you lose it. So maybe it's like, setting little goals of 3 days a week. I want to do 15 minutes of listening to, Spanish, like doing a program or an app. So, and for me, having every day, like if you saw my planner, it's great. Like I have my 4:45 a.m. I wake up, I do tapping. I don't know if you guys know about tapping, but
I have recently heard about this. And when I was scrolling through Reels, I'm like, this looks like crazy people things. Looks like something that someone who sits in the corner at an asylum does to themselves. And you know what I realize? When I am under a lot of pressure and I am feeling really stressed, I'm constantly tapping. Like I will pace my house and I will tap my forehead as I'm like, all right, what needs to be done next? What's your priority? You're in crisis mode because all this crap fell apart today, so your schedule is on fire. What are the next 3 most important things that have to be done?
I've seen you tapping before. Before I heard about tapping on another podcast recently. One day when I was doing my lashes, when I always call you, and it was funny because it made me realize, like, since I was a child, I have done it with my fingers, with my thumb and my second
tapping
finger.
them together?
Yeah, like when I'm in a high anxiety space or a very crowded place. I used to have a lot of like panic attacks when I got in crowds.
Yeah.
And I used to have a lot of anxiety, and that was how I used to do since I've learned to control my anxiety, and I don't really have panic attacks. So I don't do it anymore, but it reminded me of how I had always done it all that time.
Yeah.
And it was just something I did.
So I love that both of you are sharing these things. These are ancient things that they date back to, we just automatically do them because we are energetic bodies. And so Trish, like you doing things with your fingers, those are mudras. And we have, so in Kundalini, we have specific mudras that we use, different placements of like our fingers, if we're doing things for ego. Like it's so funny. It dates back a long time. And I just love, Kylie, that you like are doing the tapping, but it is the woo-woo stuff works.
The woo-woo
I know
works.
It seems woo-woo, but like these are the things that will help you to break through what you need to break through.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
That's a bumper sticker, an Elite Life bumper sticker. The woo-woo works. I'm writing that down.
All right, we have 4 minutes left, but I really would love if you shared 3 action steps that our listeners could take today to just make their day, their life, their month, just whatever.
Yeah.
Something great that they could do.
Yeah.
Because we like to be able to do things.
We like doing things.
Yeah, we like taking
We
action.
do stuff.
All right, stop taking our format.
Okay.
Well, so write it down. It's just what I was talking about, with the planner, having your daily activities, like be intentional with your days, be intentional with your time, like make yourself like you are your business. So plan it out, have non-negotiables for each day and write them down and check them off and make sure that you do it and schedule the things that you need to do. I know that we're, going in a million different directions. We're serving, a lot of people in each day, but take care of you. Fill your cup first. If you're not showing up as your best self, you're really not doing the best service for others. Move your body. I've said it probably 500, 700 times on this. We are energetic. We are all energy. It's science. We're energetic beings. So I don't care if it's 10 minutes of mobility work, if it's taking a lap around your house, because that's the best you can do. Go for a walk, do a workout, take a yoga class or 3. I mean,
3.
Just move your body. We get stagnant. Things get stagnant in our body, and the energies get stuck. We have to move them. Super important.
I like that.
Last thing that I want to say, which is it's an action but not as tangible as the others. Never settle. if if there's this like whisper or this nudge or this inkling that there's something else you should be doing, you are, not fully in alignment, listen to it, do it, try things, but don't settle. It's you want to be the best version of yourself. You want to live your best life, and you get one shot at this. So if there's anything that like my illness taught me, which was like, there was a day that I literally didn't know if I was going to live, and now I'm living. And so I'm making sure that I'm living, and I'm not settling for less than aligning with the best person that I am and supposed to be.
Wow, true mic drop there.
Right.
True mic drop. I love it so much.
This was so awesome.
And it's so cool to put a face. You're not seeing my face, but it's so cool to see you and connect with you and have you here. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Not everybody wants to come on and spill their guts. If there's something about Trisha that makes people do it.
Thank you. We love
You're
you.
You're a safe space, and thank you so much for allowing me to. I hope that this lands with some of your listeners.
Yeah, and so with that note, wherever you're listening, please subscribe so you don't miss our fresh episodes. We drop new episodes of Elite Life Podcast every Thursday. We're on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher. We're on Apple and Google Podcasts. So wherever you're at, make sure you subscribe. Drop us a 5-star review or leave us a love note because you know you love us. And share this on social media. This was a really, really good conversation. I'm super pumped to get this out to the masses. I'm so excited. And we love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
We thank you so much for joining us today on the Elite Live with Trish and Kylie. Be sure to share the episode with a friend so we can continue bringing you more great tips on grit, grace, and real estate. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook. We hope the ideas we share continue to help you build an empire and leave a legacy.